Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to Unit 5, Ecology. I'm very excited that you're here. These are the notes for Lesson 1. So if you're hoping to take the notes from Lesson 2 or 3, those are found in a different spot on Schoology. But without any further ado, let's jump in. We are studying the relationships between things and their environment. And our first level of organization, or our first goal, is to understand how interconnected the world is. And I think you're going to see how when you understand more about where you are from, your community, your spot in St. Paul, and you learn more about the life around you, both the plants and the animals, you will appreciate and enjoy how interconnected everything is. And that's just a cool thing. And I hope that anything you learn during the course of this unit, you'll take with you for the rest of your life. All right, let's jump in. The key concept is that ecology is the study of relationships among organisms and their environment. And no, you don't have anything to write down on this slide, but this is an important slide. I want you to name 3 living things that you've seen today. You can say them out loud where you're at. 3 living things. I'll give you 10 seconds to come up with 3 living things that you've seen already in your life today. Go. All right, did you do it? If we were in class right now, I would probably be hearing things like dog, cat, bird, tree, people. All these things are alive, and you've seen all of them, and they have relationships that you can describe between themselves and their environment and to each other. That's the big thing that we're looking at. How do we impact each other? How do we impact our environment and the world? That is the study of ecology, and let's get right to it. There are levels of organization, and we're going to get into those right now. For example, this is the first slide that you need to write something down. Anything in red, please copy down. The very basic unit of ecology is organism. An organism is an individual living thing. It is a dog or a elephant, as you can see on your screen, a cat, a person, a bush, a bacteria, a piece of grass. An individual living thing is called an organism. And so sometimes in ecology, you study the individuals. One layer up from that, the next largest way of thinking about it, is called a population. It's a group of the same species that lives together in an area. On the previous slide, you saw one elephant. On this side, you see a population of elephants, and they are all the same species. Everybody in my classroom is a population because we are all the same species, and we're all interacting with each other. One level up from here, after you've written down the letters S-A-M-E for same, the next level up is called a community. It's populations of different species that live together in an area. Okay, so in the example in this picture, you've got the African savanna. There's groups of elephants, giraffes, rhinos, zebras. At this level, you would study how all these organisms, all these populations interact with one another. And as you can see, as you get bigger, things get more complex because it's at the community level where you start to understand, oh, okay, so the soil affects how the trees grow. How many trees there are affects how many leaves there are. How many leaves there are affect how many giraffes can eat those leaves. How many giraffes there are affects how many giraffes can be eaten by lions. And there's this whole interconnected relationship that we're exploring. One step up from community is ecosystem. Now this is all of the living things, the living organisms, as well as the climate, soil, water, rocks, and other non-living things in a given area. So at this level, not only are you studying living populations and communities, you're studying how they are interacting with the environment. So the soil, the rocks, the rivers. You know, rivers aren't alive, water's not alive. So other things in this ecosystem that impact the living and non-living things in that area. One step up from ecosystem, you'll find biome. It's a major regional or global community of organisms. They're usually defined by the climate and plant communities in that region. So this is even bigger. Okay, a biome is a huge area. For example, in Minnesota, we have, I'll give you a second before I switch to the next slide to write all this down. In Minnesota, we have 4 or 5 different biomes. If you cut the state up into different sections, you can divide it by whether they're prairie, coniferous forests, deciduous forests, sorry, not forests. But that looks like this. This is the world example. Okay, so throughout the world, you've got different regions. You see how they're colored with different colors? Like I'm looking at Northern Africa right now. That's more arid desert. That's sort of a deserty region. Where if you go up, way up north into like this Russia area, they call it taiga or taiga. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. You've got the tundra way up north. If you go down to Brazil, over here, you've got dry, not sure how to pronounce that either. Some of these I haven't seen for a long time. The grass savanna area. But in Minnesota, it looks like this. You've got tall grass aspen parkland. You've got coniferous forests, deciduous forests. So coniferous is more like pine coney trees and such. And the forests near Minneapolis, St. Paul, they're more, you're going to have oak, elm trees, birch trees, maple trees, more leafy trees, as opposed to the pine coney type trees up here. You've got grasslands, and then tall grasses is kind of this in-between area between prairie grass and tall grass. All right, and then you've got biosphere, and that's all the organisms on Earth. That's everything on Earth, how it interacts with everything else. All right. There's a few more definitions we got to get out of the way. But to think about, I like this picture. This picture to me explains how it starts with the individual on the bottom left there. You got a single elk. Then you've got population of elks. Then you have a community, so it's not just elks anymore. You got these other animals in there. Then you have an ecosystem, which is talking about not just the animals, but the living and non-living things like the water in here. You've got a biome, where it's often defined by the type of trees and grasses. A huge regional area, and then you have the biosphere, which is everything. All right, you can hear by the sound of that bell that I'm at school right now, but we've only just got a few more slides here. All right, there's a word called abiotic, and it means non-living. When you hear that word abiotic, I just want you to think non-living parts of an ecosystem. Rocks, water, soil. That's just stuff that's there. It's not alive, but it does have a connection to the living thing. So abiotic factor is one of our vocab words. There's also biotic factors, which just means living. Remember that word bio means life. So biology is the study of life. So a biological or living thing or factor that shapes an ecosystem. You've got trees, mammals, microbes, birds, fish. You've got these bacteria over here on the right. So you got abiotic and you've got biotic parts of an ecosystem. And lastly, there is a word that says biodiversity, and it's all the variety of living things in an ecosystem. Okay, to sum up, I want to remind us of, so go ahead and write down living right there where it says the variety of living things. Once you've got that, I want to remind us that ecology is the study, I'm going all the way back to the beginning for this one, is the study of relationships among organisms and their environment. And we are going to learn how interconnected the world is by studying the relationships between organisms and their environment. All right, I tried to get a lot of things in there in a short amount of time, but man, that was a lot. It's 9 minutes and 30 seconds already. I hope that's not too long, but I feel good getting all of the first connection to our notes and ecology out of the way. So I'm headed off back into the mountains and lakes and hills behind me, and I'll see you in class. Peace.